Hello everyone, I'm Paige McGarry, Category Manager at Scientist.com. This is Insights and Outcomes, a HealthEconomics.com podcast. Today, we're here to talk about how the current administration has created a turbulent, unpredictable, and devastating environment for scientific research and grant funding. While Congress rejected initial budget cuts due to the unexpected harm to key programs, a new executive order improving oversight of federal grant making adds another layer of uncertainty. Under this order, political appointees now have the power to review grants based on agency priorities and the national interest, rather than just scientific priorities, and can pull funding from grants at any time. Today I'm joined by Dr. Renée Arnold. Dr. Arnold is passionate about evidence-based medicine and the application of her area of expertise, HUR. She's here to speak with us today about her journey thus far, path to the NIH, and navigating through an unusual time for science and medicine. Dr. Arnold, it's great to have you on the podcast today.
Thanks, Paige. Appreciate it.
And as always, we're going to start with our fun little game of ins and outs. Are you ready?
Sure.
Perfect. Okay, keep soy sauce packets for next time and never using them. I'm definitely in on this one. I have a storage of soy sauce packets in my pantry.
My husband does that, and I'm the one that removes them and throws them out.
Oh God, I need someone like you in my house. I wish my roommate did that. We both just hoard them.
No, he's a pack rat, and so I just get rid of stuff, and he'll never know the difference. So
because he just keeps collecting them. Yeah, perfect.
Well, and plus you have like a little bottle of soy sauce, so you really don't need the packets.
True. Good points. Yeah, good points. Getting way too competitive during family game night, yeah, definitely guilty of this. My family, when we play Sorry or Risk is another big one, we'll sit there for hours, and some of us, we won't talk to each other at the end of it because we get way too competitive.
Yeah, so my son is a really good chess player, and I know how pieces move, but he says, Mom, you have no idea how this works. Okay, fine. So my husband and I learned when he started playing, and he was really good. So my husband and I figured, well, we should play. Well, we tried twice, and we were so competitive with each other. I'm thinking, this is where the kid gets it from. It's genetic.
Like, oh God, yeah, that's it.
we can't play. It's too bad. It's a fun game, but we can't play with each other. So absolutely, I agree with you.
Having a favorite burner on the stove? Yeah, I would say in on this. I don't know if it's favorite as much just force of habit. I remember reading like a study a while back where you tend to go and open the fridge at the same exact location every single time. I think it's really similar to me and the stove. I just picked the most convenient one, which always happens to be the bottom right burner.
Same. Why would you go back if you could just go forward, right?
Also, I've burnt myself way too many times reaching over and using a back burner, the perks of being short, but
Same. So
yeah.
I totally agree.
Ordering the same thing every time at a restaurant because why mess with perfection? I would say depends on the restaurant. I would lean more towards out because I really like trying new things, but if it's my favorite restaurant and I have a favorite item, I'll order it every time.
Same. Exactly the same. Yep.
Getting emotionally attached to your reusable water bottle? Probably in on this one because I like to decorate it with stickers. So my current water bottle has a just plethora of stickers. They're all memories from friends or college or anything like that. So yeah, I have my one water bottle that I use.
I've never heard of stickers on a water bottle, but I mean, I do it partially because of the planet and partially because the one that I got was from a doctor who was very specific or a little anal about making sure that it didn't spill, you could carry it in a bag, and this is the only water bottle I've ever seen that really...
So it's a bulletproof water bottle. I mean, I wouldn't change that one up either.
No, this is great. I had to go back there for a checkup. I said, I'm fine, but I really want another one of the water bottles.
You're like, yeah, so the only reason I'm here, I'm being honest.
And I'm so glad you said that because I really made a really big effort to get this water bottle specifically. So
Incredible.
Miami.
You'll have to give me the doctor's office
Yeah,
after the
well, he's in
podcast.
Miami, so but
Oh
I'm sure
God,
he'd be
okay.
glad to meet with you.
I was gonna say that might not be worth it from San
Yeah,
Diego.
right.
Okay, perfect. Well, that's our game.
Okay.
And so just to get things started, I really wanted to start at the beginning and really understand what initially attracted you to the field of HUR, RWE, and market access, and how has your perspective changed over time?
So, I have a PharmD by training. My dad was a pharmacist actually in retail. He had a store, and he said, go into pharmacy. Absolutely do not go into retail. Don't have your own business. It's not worth it. Okay, so I promptly went and started two businesses, but, consulting. So at least I listened to him about not doing retail. And I was actually the medical director for a medical marketing and advertising agency in Manhattan. And one of the account executives said, there's this guy that does decision analysis or decision trees up at Tufts, and that might be interesting for our clients for some of the phase 4 studies. Why don't you go check it out? I did, and I was fascinated. I was always interested in computational work anyway, hence half of the name of my company, Arnold Consultancy and Technology. And I really learned about this area. So I took some courses, but really I didn't go to school for it per se, except for coursework. And I just went to a lot of lectures, and I spoke to a lot of really smart people that turned me on to this whole area of decision analytic modeling. And around the same time, I had started my first business with a partner, another PharmD, and it wasn't called HEOR then, and it wasn't called pharmacoeconomics. It was called cost effectiveness analysis. And we had family and friends say, that's interesting. It's required in Europe, but it's not required for reimbursement purposes, but it's not required in the US. And you intend to make money and support yourself with this business? So, are you nuts? So
stick to retail. Let's backtrack a little bit. Yeah.
And I said, this is our vision, and we think yes, it's required in Europe and elsewhere. I mean, in China and Taiwan and Eastern Europe, you name it, and it was required by health technology assessment agencies for in support of reimbursement. I said, but I think the market is going to catch up with us. Now, it took 20 years for the market to catch up with us, but
here we are.
Yeah, but eventually it became a real thing. And then I started my own business in 2006. So the previous one was Pharmacon International. We were kind of pioneers in the area. I co-founded ISPOR in 1975. It was me and 38 other people.
Oh, wow. I didn't know that. That's so cool. I just attended ISPOR US, and I'll be in Glasgow in November.
I might be in Glasgow. We'll see. I'm still finishing up the phase 1 grant, so we'll see, if I'm done then. But it was very exciting to be in on the ground floor. And there wasn't an RWE then. There was retrospective database analysis, and people were not talking about RWE or real world evidence or anything like that. It was data, and there were different data sources. And then it kind of morphed into RWE. So, that's basically how I got into this. And then I was, so I had my own company since 2006, and I was doing this kind of work mostly for the pharmaceutical industry. I had a few little government grants, but nothing really major. And I thought, I don't know that I want to keep doing this necessarily. I'm working really hard, and it's time to kind of slow down a little bit. And then at the beginning of the pandemic, I was on a podcast with a young woman entrepreneur, and she said, I talked to this company, BioHealth Innovation, and they were really helpful. So I thought, nothing ventured, nothing gained. So I started speaking with them. And they said, yeah, we could probably help you, but you've gotten several of these grants before. You really know how to write them.
Mhm.
It's just maybe the market hasn't caught up with you yet. Here we go
You're
again.
like, story of my life.
Yes,
Okay.
yes, yes. It took me 4 years to get phase one of this grant. And it was seriously, I was talking about blockchain. And I went back to look because I know that I wasn't talking about AI per se, but let's face it, that's the basis of crypto. So, you know,
Yeah.
and I said, I know that I was talking about this 4 years ago, and the reviewers thought I was crazy. Anyway, so I spoke with them. They said, yeah, we might be able to help you, but even more importantly, the NIH for their commercialization team is looking for somebody specifically with your background. Okay, the worst that can happen is I hate it and I don't do it or I quit or something.
Leave. Yeah.
And I got to say that it was the most interesting and great thing that has happened to me in my professional life. Besides getting grants, of course. Okay, that's fine.
Yeah. It's
Getting
pretty great.
food. I
Yeah.
mean, that's nice, making money. But and publishing papers. But so I had basically two bosses. The guy that was the head of biohealth innovation, which is an interesting company. It's a public-private partnership, so it's a not-for-profit. And they do a lot of government work, but also work with private entrepreneurs, like who are trying to get grants and things like that. And I was allied with National Heart, Lung, and Blood Institute. So the woman there that I reported to, PhD, was fabulous. I mean, both people were supportive, and I don't know if it's because it wasn't a business environment per se. Of course, we talked business because the prime reason for this commercialization team was to coach SBIR awardees from NHLBI to go to investment conferences. So we had an investor in residence. We had a clinical trial specialist, IP specialist. I was the HEOR person. We had, and then we also had regulatory expertise. So the entrepreneurs were passionate about their technology, but they knew nothing about the market, about talking to investors. And this is what we would say to them. And you think, well, gee, the NIH is paying for you to go to these conferences? Like, why would they do that? Well, it wasn't out of the goodness of their hearts. They wanted them to get off of NIH's dime eventually.
They wanted them to actually get the grants and be successful.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And go out and get dilutive funding instead of the non-dilutive funding, right?
Yeah.
So that was fine. And that I did that for 4.5 years. It was so fascinating, and I felt so supported. It was really fabulous. And then the end of February, something hit the fan, and I thought if anything is right for Doge, this is.
Yeah.
And so, but what was interesting is two of my colleagues, unfortunately, were told, send us back your laptops, send us back your badges. We don't need your expertise, it's duplicative. They told me and another colleague, and actually there are three of us, but the two of us were on the same kind of contract. So I had a contract through Biohealth Innovation to NHLBI, National Heart, Lung, and Blood. That's how this whole situation works. It's a little convoluted. But they said, but don't give back your laptop and don't give back your badge. I'm saying your badge. And I said, it's a very expensive paperweight right now, the laptop, but okay.
I'll hold on to it.
Yes,
Sure.
yes. And because the contract is still there, we're trying to fund it. Well, 2 weeks ago, they told me they were funding it. Unfortunately, the contracting group had been riffed because now reduction in force has become a verb, evidently. So it's riffed. And so there's nobody to actually write the contract. But they intend to bring me back. So stay tuned. I mean, that's exciting. I hope so. It won't be the same because we were a very tight-knit group for 4 years. We had gotten to the point, it was so interesting for me because I learned a lot about regulatory that I didn't know. I knew clinical trials, but still the woman that was involved with that really had a fund of information, and we were collaborating on the sides also, and we were a very, and it's not a good word to use anymore, but we were a very diverse group. It so happened, and so it made it that much more interesting, and we all got along, and we were finishing each other's sentences.
I was
Well,
gonna say, absolutely. It sounds like you guys complemented each other's strengths and filled in the weaknesses.
we really did. If the regulatory guy wasn't there, I'd say, well, Kwame would have said, are you
Hmm.
going to go 510K, or are you going to go and be? I mean, I wouldn't have known anything about that before all of this.
What an incredible opportunity to learn from such a tight knit group of professionals and just be able to grow together.
Yes.
And,
And nobody was passing any judgments. It
hmm,
wasn't like, why don't you know that? It was like, oh, yeah, but I want to learn about HEOR. So tell me more about that,
I'll
So.
tell you about this. You can teach me about this. Yeah, no one can be an expert in everything.
Yes. So, it was really very exciting. And I'm excited that, theoretically, I'm going to be back there, part time, but that's okay.
Yeah,
It was part time. Now it would be a quarter time instead of a half time, but that's fine. And then just about the time that I was RIFT, um, I got this grant, the phase 1 grant that I'd been trying for 4 years. And again, it's a health economic model marketplace, and it's open source models particularly. One of the things I had to get past with the reviewers, how are you going to make money if they're open source models? By definition, the source code is available for free.
open.
How
It's open.
are you going to
Yeah,
do this? And I said, but just like in any software, there's a little come on. It's like, well, this is free. Oh, but you want this particular feature? Well, that's money. Oh, you want that feature? Well,
yeah,
that's more money. So that's the idea, is to have
got it.
validated models. And we still want this to be the um, the platform that people can trust.
Hmm.
There's GitHub, there's academic platforms,
Hmm.
but they're not interactive. The models are not validated. You go to them half the time, the models don't run. You try to download them, it's a mess. There's no standardization.
Hmm.
So that's one of the things we offer really for free. But you want to understand how we came up with the model validation figure. Well, that's a pay.
Yeah,
You want to be able to run this with different data sources. There comes the RWE. So how does using a different data source impact the outcome of the model? So is it generalizable, or is it really data source specific in terms of what you come out with? Well, ka-ching. So we've got uh, situations with University of Maryland. They have several
hmm,
different data sources, Icahn School of Medicine, and then Tufts University. So right now we're using those, and we'll do more negotiation to get more data, because data are expensive. And if you want to start negotiating with IQVIA or whatever, it's a lot of money. So this is a way of getting maybe volume discounts, of having people understand the different data sources. So we'll, make the differentiation available, that kind of thing. So we'll use that as a USP, a unique selling point, for the platform.
oh, that
And
completely makes sense.
yeah.
And and it's really, really interesting. And now I just want to shift gears a little bit because we're
Mhm.
seeing a lot of changes within the federal grant funding landscape.
Right.
And I'm just curious to understand, how does having political appointees involved in the grant review process change that traditional scientific peer review process?
We don't really know yet.
Mm.
For example, this program has been going on, SBIR program, STTR, for what, 20 years, a little more than that. It's
Hmm.
been reauthorized every year. Sometimes it would be the last second, but it would always be reauthorized. Well, A, we don't know if it's going to be reauthorized.
Hmm.
There are several different flavors of reauthorization. Joni Ernst and a few other people have put out schemas of how it might be reauthorized. One person has said, hey, maybe it would be reauthorized for good, and you wouldn't have to reauthorize it every year. But for example, there are always study sections where your grants are reviewed. Those are decided normally in advance. I've submitted September 5th. Normally these grants are reviewed in November. There's no evidence of a study section. We don't know if there's going to be. The political appointees appear to be involved in this somehow. I don't know how, because they'll have no idea how to review these grants or even what the grants say. I've been on study sections because as soon as you get one of these, they tap you and say, oh, you want to give back, right? For very little money, we'll ask you to review 10 grants that are anywhere from 70 to 180 pages. So each grant, if you really, depending on if it's phase 1, phase 2, or fast track, how long it is, so each grant, if you really put the time in, and not everybody does, but the people that have gotten these, and everybody has that's a reviewer, understand how much work goes into these. So if you're not going to put in the time, don't agree.
What are you doing? Yeah.
Right?
What are you doing?
It's not fair.
No.
And I've seen this in people that have reviewed some of my grants. I'm thinking, are you reviewing the same grant that I've written? Because
Did you read the full document?
Sure doesn't seem like it. Yeah, it's like, right? And other things, it's like, okay, I could make this clearer. I understand. So it could take you between 5 and 8 hours per grant. And for the privilege of doing that for up to 10 grants, and people don't know that you can actually sometimes negotiate how many grants you review. I have learned that over time.
Tricks of the trade, yes.
Yes. You've got kind of a minimum, but you don't necessarily have to review the full 10, depending. You get anywhere from $200 to $400, not per grant, total. Total. So they're depending on us scientists.
It's volunteer work.
Giving back, you know. So, but again, you know, I'll try to do at least one study section a year, if not 2, but that's it. I won't do more than that. I used to do 3, you know, back when I was first tapped. Oh, that's so exciting. Oh, thank you very much, you know. And then I realized it's like a little bit of a chump job, but you know, again, it's interesting. It used to be in person. Now it's on Zoom. I'm still hoping they'll bring us back in person, but maybe not. I was actually just on a study section in July. And there's normally 30 to 35 people, and they're in, you know, different backgrounds. And again, and each grant has 3 reviewers. So it's very interesting to see different viewpoints. When you do your review, just before we all get together for 2 days now online, it's 9 to 5 the first day. I mean, it's intense with a half hour for lunch, and the second day it's 9 to maybe 3. It's a little shorter, but you're supposed to review, after you do yours, the other 2 people's reviews to see, especially if the scores are really different. Like, you know, right?
Provides some sort of, I mean, that provides a lot of sense of comfort, I feel like, to the people who are submitting these grants, because they know it's not 3 people with the same experience, same background, same opinions, looking at this grant.
Really varied. And so again, it's a learning opportunity for us. And you know, it's exciting from that standpoint, and that's also why I do it. Then I thought, you know, I haven't been on a study section for a couple of years. I've been doing other things. Maybe I'll go on one and just see if anything has changed, or, you know, something that I can learn from when I'm writing my phase 2 grant proposal. So part of it was selfish, but part of it was, I haven't done it for a while. Okay, fine. It very interesting to see, again, other people's viewpoints, and some would make me say, you know what? Gee, I agree with that. But in one case, it was about reimbursement, and I really knew the area, and especially it was molecular diagnostics, and I happen to know some specifics about that. So I said, they're with lab developed tests now, they are no longer being allowed by the FDA. And how do you get around that? Because that's an important source of income for small labs, and that's an important opportunity to get these labs done, this testing done that isn't being done by the large labs. And so I can't say more than that because or else they have to shoot me, of course.
Completely understand.
Yes, yes. But and I felt very good about this. I was able to sway my other two reviewer colleagues to my way of thinking because I was knowledgeable. And they said, okay, we're going to, improve our scores.
And we'll trust your instincts on this
one.
Yes.
So I felt like, I had an impact. And by the same token, somebody had an impact on me over, some of our scores. So
that is incredible to be able to have that opportunity because you once were in that person's shoes, and then to be able to advocate on their behalf just as someone advocated for you is pretty incredible.
Yes.
Thank you so much for your time today, Dr. Arnold. Seriously, it's been invaluable to learn not only from your professional journey, but also just understand the current situation from your perspective and lived experiences. I've really enjoyed our conversation, and it's been a pleasure to have you on the show.
Thanks so much. Yes, I've enjoyed it as well, Paige. Thanks a lot.
If you enjoyed this conversation, don't forget to subscribe and leave us a review. It helps more listeners like you find the show. Want more HUR, RWE, and market access insights? Stay connected with Theoretically Speaking and HealthEconomics.com for the latest trends shaping healthcare decision-making. Until then, keep asking the big questions, challenging assumptions, and driving smarter healthcare decisions. Thanks for listening. I'm your host, Paige McGarry, and we'll see you next time.